The deal is this. Tell you, when I was a kid, that read Dropper Anton Wilson, all this real. Tell you, when I was a kid, that read Dropper Anton Wilson, all this real. Dude, I'm pissed. Dude, I'm pissed. Come on. What? Okay, by the time we finish this, you're all going to be practicing magicians.
I'm Jeremy Greer.
And I'm Gary Butterfield.
And this is Days of Future Cast, the podcast where Gary and I discuss all things X-Men. We are getting close to the end of this new X-Men arc by Grant Morrison, and we are in the middle of the penultimate arc. Or I guess the penultimate arc, if you want to say that, because there's one tiny little arc at the end that we're going to compress down to one episode of this podcast. But in the meantime, Magneto has been revealed to be Zorn, and he has fucked up the X-Men in the process.
Yep. X-Men fucked up.
Yes. Status.
Status fucked up. X-Men unaccounted for. 2 Beatles alive. 2 Beatles dead. 0 Beatles unaccounted for. Yeah. So we're getting into it. Before we start talking about this issue, though, we decided what we're going to do after this.
Yes, we did. We are returning to a 90s classic that I think Gary, you've read this relatively recently, more recently than I have, but it's something that I have a lot of affection for as like a 90s kid growing up, but I'm going to be super interested to return to it in the context of 2020, where the world is literally ending around us. So,
yep. Of course, we're talking about the 12. No, we're not talking about the 12. The 12 is a really horrible, weird comic. No, we're talking about Age of Apocalypse.
Yes.
Of course. It is kind of an obvious, but we are not expecting the same heights. The writing in Age of Apocalypse is very standard 90s X-Men stuff, but the concepts and cool 13-year-oldness of it, by which I mean it's good for 13-year-olds, is going to carry us through.
And I think, in case people are worried that we'll get into like a X-Men Evolution situation where we're just like reading stuff and not liking it and kind of bringing down the vibe of the podcast, like this kind of stuff I can really embrace. Like 90s were kind of a special time in my life because I was a fucking teenager discovering, everything basically, including the X-Men. Pubes!
Egad!
If I tug on this
Eureka,
dangly bit, it feels great. This is great.
Whoa!
I should do this all the time. Learning how to convince my mom I'm taking 30-minute showers. So from now on.
Yeah, I'm gonna use the bathtub upstairs.
Yes.
No reason.
No reason. Don't worry about it.
Why do you ask? Oh no, I just like to relax. I'm doing homework.
Yeah, everything's good. Don't worry about it. But I'm excited to get into this. Like, I feel like I'm going to treat this as like almost like I treat like a schlock movie kind of, or like a B movie. Like I can get down with some shitty
direct
stuff.
Comparison is the X-Men 90s animated series, right?
Sure. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. I think we're going to treat it like that. I think that's something we liked a lot, but also had some issues with and had, made fun of a little bit. And we want to, recapture a little bit of that energy, and I'm interested in rereading it. And I just, I have a lot of affection for it. It's not all good. There's going to be bummer issues in it, but hopefully fun bummer, not like, why are we doing this X-Men Evolution bummer?
Never want to go back to the why are we doing this well ever again. So look forward to Age of Apocalypse. So the current schedule of the show, we've got like 8 or 9 more issues, I think. So we'll have 8 or 9 more episodes for this arc. We'll do a wrap up. Some of you have already sent in feedback. Thank you very much for that. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
daysoffuturecast.com/contact. Always the best place to do it. Or you can DM us on Twitter at DOFC Podcast. We're going to read those and talk about them and have questions and answer questions and all that stuff. And then shortly during that process on the website, I'll update what our reading list is going to be, because we're going to skip some stuff that we feel like we don't really need to do. So we'll have a reading list that shows you like the order that we're going in. Thankfully, I think all of this is on Marvel Unlimited, so it's real easy to access. So you don't have to go hunt down random issues of stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Never visit a local comic shop for this podcast. Don't support that local business.
Shit, dude, they have the coronavirus, man. I can't sterilize a comic book. What are you talking about?
Yeah, every page, just page by page, wiping it down with Lysol. I mean, it's the very sad truth is I don't know that comic shops are going to survive this.
Yeah, dude. It's going to be real. It's going to be real scary out there for like a bunch of local restaurants and small businesses and all this stuff. Like, oof.
Yep. It's not great. But what is, again, I know I was beating this drum last time. I like these arcs.
Yes.
I read. This is my third time I've read them. I refreshed my memory for this morning, and there's like some good detail and shit that sets up this kind of turn a little bit better than I remember, while still not being perfect.
Yes.
And then same thing with the last arc. Like I like it a lot more than I did the first time.
I think multiple readings really support that last arc. I sat down to kind of refresh myself on these issues today, like I usually do before the podcast, and ended up finishing the series again, which makes like my third or fourth time. And just because it goes so smoothly, and like once you read the first issue of the last arc, you're like, oh, I must read the next 4 or 5 so I can get into this. I want to figure out what happens. And they confront you with a lot of information up front and then like explain it after the fact. So it'll be fun to talk about that stuff because I think we'll be able to shine some light on it for people. But in the meantime, we need to figure out this Planet X arc, Gary.
With what, to my mind, one of the weaker covers of the series.
Yeah.
They're just kind of Beast looking angry. Here, standing in a science room.
Yeah, I don't think this cover is very good, Gary.
It's weird.
Yeah.
Beast is real angry. He's in front of some monitors.
Are they? I don't really remember. I don't pay attention to Beast's eyes very much. These are glowing a little yellow. Could that be a nod towards the future stuff that's about to happen?
Oh, that's interesting.
I don't know if that's.
I didn't think about that. I thought he was just super pissed.
Yeah. So, angry Beast.
Yes.
So we're going to start out on Asteroid M. We left Jean Grey and Logan here. Logan is basically saying we have some good news that we have 36 hours worth of air at least. The bad news is they're going to hit the surface of the sun in 24, which is just a day. They're going to be there soon.
Yep, exactly. The sun is just a day away. This is, I think all of this stuff with Jean and Logan on Asteroid M is great.
Yep.
Really good character work. Like, I think that like doing the relationship between these two characters and kind of their semi-romantic, but somehow like a little bit like almost deeper than that relationship is really, really hard to pull off this well.
Yes. And it's not the classic like Logan being, perpetually in love with Jean either. Like there's some twist on this stuff where like it feels like they've almost grown past that, where like they're just super good friends and teammates in this extremely trying time that they live in, and they have to try to figure out how to get the fuck out of this thing. So it's just really well written all around, I think.
Yep. It's incredibly hot. It's 130 degrees.
Yes.
Logan is trying to get the air conditioning back on. And Jean says, I can't move the station. I'm trying to slow down the molecules in the air, but it's too hot to concentrate. We get a little bit of backstory on what happened in the last arc. Jean looks at Weapon 15, and Logan explains like, he died. He was a mass murderer, so don't get mad at me that I killed him. And this whole thing has been a trap.
Yes.
and Logan is bemoaning, like, I didn't even smell it. Like, I didn't even know this was coming. Are you, and then Jean's like, are you sure it's him? And we get this like great little splash page of them looking at the sun and Logan just saying, yep, Magneto nailed us this time.
I like the idea of spaceships being uncontrollably sent into the sun. Like that movie Sunshine is one of my favorite like sci-fi movies of all time. Like I think it's really really good.
It's weird. That movie is weird. We ever talked about that before?
I don't think so. No, maybe not.
Like I like that movie too, but I think that when it turns into like the serial killer, like when it's all like dread and like it's just like what it's like to be close to the sun, I fucking love it.
Yeah. And then a different director comes in or something. Like
exactly. Like Danny Boyle goes into Mr. Hyde mode and is like, what if there's a skin demon? And I'm like, what?
Wait a minute, what
about, dude? Like, oh yeah, somebody became due to exposure from the sun, someone became a super strong zombie. Oh, hold up.
I'm not quite sure what you mean by that, Mr. Boyle.
yeah. But up until that point, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Like, that movie is great.
So Logan says they have 24 hours and they better use them well. And we go back over to Magneto, who is having this conversation with Martha and Ernst, where Ernst just is basically like still either pretending that she doesn't understand the situation or just not understanding the situation, where Zorn was a character that Magneto had to play in order to infiltrate the X-Men, and just basically demanding of Magneto, like, when is Zorn coming back? And Magneto just gets angrier and angrier with every question.
Well, the something that makes sense about this now in retrospect, because we're past the spoiler wall.
Yes.
And we've been well past it, but we're going to talk about stuff in the future, because one of the things I want to do in these last like couple episodes is defend some of this twist, because I know like a lot of people don't like the end of this arc, and I think that it's okay if it doesn't work for you, but I think that there are more things explained than it seems. Ernst doesn't understand this because Ernst is Cassandra Nova relearning how to be a person.
Yes.
Ernst has been alive for 9 months. So like the idea that Ernst cannot understand this dual identity thing at first seems like she's just being really naive, and being kind of an idiot. She's learning how to be a person. This is stuff with Cassandra Nova's brain in it, learning all basic concepts again, and being basically walked around by Martha, who is like stewarding her.
I love the idea that Xavier presumably like did this without a whole lot of people knowing. Like the last time we saw Cassandra Nova, we were in her mind, and Xavier or Jean Grey drew the X, and like X is for Adam, and like that arc ends, right? Like, and like presumably her body was being kept somewhere safe. We're actually going to see that at the very end of this run of like they think that they think that Cassandra Nova's body is actually in there, but no, like he actually just put her body in this thing, or her mind in this thing, and then like, let's enroll it in the Xavier Institute and not tell anybody, and then had it secretly being taught by fucking Magneto, his arch rival. Like, it's amazing.
Yeah. It's richer than it seems.
Yeah.
So this stuff seems, at first it seems just kind of dumb, but it makes sense.
Yes.
So he keeps trying to explain this to her, and she's just like, he was nice. Again, this is somebody who's 9 months old, who has been taught by this brain. And I love this like little moment where Ernst is like, "Oh, I'm sorry, sir. Am I late for the Brotherhood meeting, or am I early for the Brotherhood meeting?" Like, again, the new Brotherhood being super pathetic.
Yes.
And then Toad comes in again with his tongue always out, no matter how much he's talking.
Nope, doesn't matter.
Pops in and starts explaining things, and he's basically saying, like, giving Magneto a report, like, things are not going well on the ground. People don't know what's happening. When you talk in that faux Shakespearean stuff, nobody understands you. Like, you are outdated.
Yes,
essentially.
And Magneto kind of gets angry at this, and then goes to talk to himself, aka Xavier, who he's keeping naked in a tube for super villain reasons, I guess. Like, if the guy that I hate the most in this world, like, I finally got him, I guess I would just keep him naked in a tube in my room, just because I hate that guy. Fuck him. Like, I don't like that dude.
You wouldn't give him like a dignity condom?
Nope, dick out.
Like, just okay.
Dick out for dick out. I was about to say dick out for ramen. Yeah, but dick out for hatred.
Dicks out for vengeance.
I want everybody to see his tiny flaccid penis, because he's a grower, not a shower.
Well, he's in his cool water bath.
I probably shouldn't talk about Cole Ross like this, but I don't think he listens to the podcast. So.
If Cole ever starts listening to the other podcasts on the show,
so much lore has been developed about him.
There's a lot of lore. Yeah, it's very funny. So again, I love this idea of Magneto doing this villain monologue here. And he explains, so again, one of the things where people are just, it's so ridiculous that Magneto just took over New York. And it is, but even Magneto recognizes it won't be long before, he was not trying to buy New York forever.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, it won't be long before the reprisals commence. I have to do something unforgettable. And he says, like, hey, remember back when we talked, I had that plan to reverse the Earth's magnetic poles. And I just imagine, like, Magneto, huge bong rip. Hey, Charles. What if I reverse the Earth's magnetic poles?
Oh, man, I got the best
idea. Oh, you mean kill everybody? Well, no, some mutants would survive. Oh, Eric, you're so crazy. Here, pass. But now he's like, this is actually a good idea. Humans will definitely die. He says it will rewire mutant brains and alter planetary consciousness. Again, this is bullshit, but if you think of him stoned at a Denny's,
yes,
because he's out of his mind on drugs, and the drug that he's on wants him to kill everybody,
yes,
then this makes sense.
Yeah, that's going to be pretty important. And like, that's something that I think that you can if you read the last arc and where all of it's kind of revealed, like, oh, there's this sentient bacteria that has been like keeping everybody at war each other for billions of years, that's finally going to have its shot to take this, and like it infects people through this drug kick. Like that's pretty important for this like super villain turn that Zor into Magneto does. Like that the 2-page spread that I complained about of like Magneto just going full fucking supervillain, like people dying in the background. Like, oh, that makes much more sense now when you remove Magneto's agency out of it. Like this isn't Magneto doing this. This is Magneto being driven to do this.
Yeah. And it's subtle because it's not, we're used to mind control stories in fiction and comics just being like, oh, I'm this person now. But the way that Sublime works is there's still a little bit of the original person in there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's still their brain and everything. We see that with Beast in the next arc. So it ends up being confusing. And I don't put this at the feet of the reader. I think it's something that, you know, the writing in the comic could explain a little bit better.
Yes.
But on multiple reads, you know, it does get better.
And like, you know, Morrison likes to bury stuff, right? Like that's what, like that dude,
Yeah.
that dude really wants a reader to get into, to dig into a work and to come up with their own solutions and come up with their own, even probably headcanon and things like that. Like he wants the reader to do work. So it's, you know, makes sense for him to bury some of these details and like kind of weird stuff that you have to figure out and parse. So,
yep. Magneto's giving a speech here and he's basically explaining like his way is better.
Yes.
You know, each day more mutants flock to me. They're all taking kick. You know, they're empowered by that, by these supplies. You know, your old way, your incrementalism has been forgotten.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm a legend. I always come back. And we are going to establish this new nation and this species. You know, nobody wants your way of peaceful integration. I'm offering them something better and quicker.
So yeah, after he gives his little speech, Magneto goes to we get this kind of full screen thing and he's like, oh yeah, this is not just going to be New York, this is only the beginning. I am here to offer Utopia, the shining morning of the mutants, because Kick makes you get just super flowery with your language, right?
Exactly, it's the Claremont virus. Like so we cut back over to Logan and Jean.
Mm-hmm.
And Logan's getting desperate. Like he's like basically like, hey, you got that Phoenix Force, right? You sitting on that good shit? That can do anything, right? Because it can fly in space because we're going to die. And Jean, you know, and you can see Logan's doing better with this, like his healing factor, you know, but Jean is really having a hard time. And she kind of explains the Phoenix here. And this is something that's very important to understanding this whole arc and the next arc specifically. You know, basically she says her power has been, you know, going up like exponentially, like she's moving beyond all boundaries. Logan says, well, you could do anything, right? Like you could become a god, make your own universe. And she says, no, the Phoenix isn't like that. Like it gets rid of things that don't.
Yeah.
Eats these planets and stars and talks to me. And if I get too close to it, replaces me. So this is like a powerful retcon in terms of the Phoenix generally, which is traditionally in the Marvel universe is viewed as something that is wholly destructive.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Jean Grey, like the Phoenix in the original Phoenix saga, like destroyed a planet of people and everything. And Jean is basically positing like, no, these are things that aren't meant to be in like a cosmic sense.
So what the fuck did that planet do? What did you guys do
they
wrong?
They really fucked up, dude.
What did they do?
Really fucked up.
I mean, the Shi'ar were like really, really enthusiastic about trying to like get vengeance for them. So, but apparently they were all fuckheads. Like who knew? It
was Planet Biden in the primaries.
Oh no!
And they all had to go. Yeah, Planet Buttigieg had to be erased from the cosmos. So basically she's saying like, you know, the Phoenix is this, you know, Grant Morrison is taking this idea that previously, you know, the Phoenix is a cool idea. This idea of this big cosmic destructive force about creation and destruction and saying like giving it a motive.
Mm-hmm.
Like it has a plan, it has a purpose, and that is the way the universe is supposed to be. And things that aren't part of that get destroyed. You know, and Logan's like, well, it's all well and good, but you know, where's the good part? And she's like, I don't know, maybe it's judging me. Oh yeah, I can't fly in space. Sorry, we're fucked.
Yeah, we're totally screwed. And of course, you know, at this point, whatever Logan was doing, working on stuff, literally explodes, and he starts like, you know, basically going berserker and starts smashing stuff. And Jean starts pausing like, wait a minute, what about that Esme who was caught dealing kick? And like, how does Magneto even fit into any of this stuff? Like, I don't even understand, which gives us a good opportunity to go to New Genosha and the new Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, you know, with Basilisk, Ernst, Martha, Esme and Angel, and of course Beak, who is wearing his not quite Green Lantern shirt still.
Yeah, exactly. His Green Lectern. I love Ernst's shirt with this big no symbol.
Yeah, in the second panel, it's no with a smiley face, which I think is kind of interesting. But yeah,
I like that. So they're kind of talking, and again, we're just seeing this kind of break down. You know, Magneto is giving a speech like, "Oh, you know, I got rid of their TV screens, and now they want to negotiate." You know, ha ha ha. There's 16 million dead mutants that need to be accounted for. Esme, who's fully taken the black pill, is like, "Yeah, there should be these human sacrifices. You know, you need to be serious about changing the world to destroy people." And Magneto isn't having it. Like, he is used to, you know, Mastermind, Toad, Scarlet Witch, Mystique, like these people who don't question him. But these are kids, and you know they're not those people. He has not inspired loyalty, so he's getting irritated as people interrupt.
Yes, and he wants her to use Cerebro to find the new X-Men that have not been like definitively dealt with at this point. Like, there's still some that are kind of missing out there. And in the meantime, he's like, "Hey, Beak, time for you to learn how to exterminate people." And like, Beak is like, "Wait, what? Excuse me?
Yeah.
Extermination?" And I love Beak in this because like you could tell he was just going along to get along, and then it turned. And then all of a sudden he's a Nazi, and he's like, "Wait a minute, I don't like this at all. I don't want to do this in the least."
Yeah, these couple issues are great for Beak.
Yeah,
I think. You know, it's really, really good. Like the idea of him coming along. We get a little bit also with like, you know, he calls Esme a child, and Basilisk makes fun of him. You know, Esme is in love with Magneto, which will come to a head next issue, or the issue after that, I can't recall. And you know, he's just like, "Oh, Magneto sees through your bra stuffing, child," to him, which is just, you know, a great little burn.
Yeah, Basilisk is going to go out pretty hard in the next couple issues, but I still love him to death. He's still great.
Yeah, he's good.
So we go back over to Asteroid M, and Wolverine is trying to lay some of the stuff out, but they're both kind of losing their ability to think and focus because it's getting so hot. But he's saying, you know, somebody's been undermining the school, dividing up the X-Men, and now they're in this death trap. And he says maybe it doesn't have anything to do with Magneto. Maybe it was actually Zorn. And Jean can't even really keep up with this. Like, she doesn't have a mutant healing factor. She no longer has a shirt. So she's and she just doesn't, she's not feeling very well. Like, this stuff is taking a physical toll on her in a way that it's not happening to, it's the way that it's not taking a toll onto Logan.
Yeah. Logan says, you know, listen, I once survived like pinned under a rock, like eating parts of my own arm. Like, there's a way out of this. And I love, you know, Jean's sense of humor is like, "Are you going to fight the sun for me?" You know, like it's just, she's pretty bleak at this point. They're kind of talking, she's inside his head and just, you know, says like, you know, there's something that happened, to you, like on this Weapon X program, you know, those revelations. And basically, I can't remember how this is followed up, like in the Wolverine solo series or what have you, but he's having a huge identity crisis because he's basically learns from the Weapon Plus thing that he was made into a Sentinel. Like, the whole, you know, his metal skeleton was an early attempt at fusing man and machine. You know, he was made, you know, they chose a murderer to find someone to murder mutants.
Yeah.
And it is given him this identity crisis. You know, they chose me because I like to kill. You know, that's what I'm good for. If you knew me, you'd hate me. And she goes, you know, it doesn't matter who you are. I know what you've gone through and the person you are now. How could I ever? Like, again, it's a really sweet kind of moment of friendship. This whole scene's very good.
And really, like, reading it the first time, I was like, oh God, like, this is going to be the classic, like, they're going to kiss and then die, and then something's going to come back in time and save them. And I'm so glad they stay away from that trope, like,
oh yeah,
to that direct extent. But like, I fully expected it to happen at any moment, especially because like, they're drawn in this last panel as if they are like, they're talking face to face and like they are about to kiss and start having makeout sessions. And I was like, please don't do that. Like, it's 140 degrees.
Fucking degrees.
Yeah. Like, nobody wants to make out. Like, I don't want your tongue in my mouth, dog. Like, stay away.
Imagine their breath.
Oh God.
Like right now. Yeah. Like their mouth is the Sahara.
I don't know much about the world, but I bet it smells bad. And Logan has not had a chance to take a bath yet. You know what I'm saying?
He smells like so much gore.
Yeah.
You know,
he smells like Weapon 15's insides.
Yeah. You know, so they're there and she's kind of losing her cognizance a little bit. She's trying to concentrate. She can't find the Phoenix, you know, and she's like, is Scott here? You know, I had to, and she starts, here's another part that you only really know if you understand the arc. she's seeing stuff from the future here.
Mm-hmm.
Scott, I had to watch it all changing. I had to let him go because that's what love is. And that is basically the end of the arc. We'll talk about that. When the bad future gets wiped away, the Phoenix burns and disaffects. It dies to return.
Yes.
And Logan isn't on that wavelength, of course. Like, he just thinks she's talking about the now. Scott's growing up. He's a little bit confused, but he still loves you.
Yeah, and she starts like talking out loud instead of telepathically, saying like it's terrible. She feels scared. She hears horrible voices in the heat, and that she's dying. Please don't leave me. And Logan says, "I'm never going to leave you. I'm right here beside you. I take all your pain on myself, but I can't. I can only take it away." And in kind of a shocking moment, stabs her through the torso with his claws, killing her.
It's the most painless death.
Yes,
it's like, they say it's like going to sleep.
Just like going to sleep. That's why she's screaming while it's happening,
yeah,
right?
Exactly.
And then this last panel not last, but the last on this page, where he's just like holding her dead body and saying, oh God, like he just can't believe what he had to do. And walks her out into the face of the sun as this spaceship is about to explode, and says, you and me in the face of glory. And like, there's just this huge sun, like everything is bright, and you see the two of them start to dissolve when the Phoenix Force comes into play in Jean's eyes. And it's some of the best art in this issue. I love the way that this looks, like, again, like very reminiscent of that Sunshine movie that we talked about earlier. Like, it's just very bright and very like blinding. It's just, oh man, this is so fucking good. What's happening right now? What the fuck is going to happen?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, it's great. Like, it just was really cool. And we see Jean open her eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the end of the issue. Really, really striking, cool ending to this.
Yeah.
And this is the turning point. Like, this is the hope.
Yes. And it's hard to not feel that hope, I think. Like, when you think that like Logan is probably killing Jean to maybe try to get the Phoenix out of her so the Phoenix can save the day, and possibly even, do as the Phoenix is known to do and resurrect Jean Grey again. Like, it's hard not to feel like Logan's doing some shit. He's doing some X-Men shit. Like, we're going to turn it around. Like, things are going to go well.
Yeah. Because this is a bleak ass moment,
dude. Yeah.
And it's really important that Logan wasn't doing this tactically. Like, he wasn't like, I'm going to bring the Phoenix out by killing Jean. Like, he was doing a mercy kill for a person he loves, because he couldn't stand to watch them hurt.
Mm-hmm. But it's hard as a reader not to look at this and go like, some shit's about to happen. Like, it's hard not to get excited, is what I was saying.
Mm-hmm. So, and that's the end of the issue.
That's it.
Good issue. And this is, things are going to get real from here. Lots of great Beak content. The X-Men's hero moment in this, like, everybody gets a little moment to shine. It's really nice.
Yeah. If you like this podcast, the best way to support it is going to patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv. You can get all sorts of cool benefits by just donating a few dollars a month. There are probably hundreds of hours, if maybe dozens, but definitely hundreds of hours of content that you get. You have exclusive content that you get as soon as you join up, and you can also get access to the Slack and all kinds of cool stuff. So go check that out. Ratings, reviews also help. I think someone took our advice and left a review recently. I said I would read it, and now I need to find it on Slack. So I'll do that in the next episode. I had Slack.
It'll show up eventually.
It'll show up eventually, dear reader. I promise. Thank you so much for leaving a review. I very much appreciate it.
Absolutely, we really appreciate it. And until next time, we take care. Take care of yourself in these trying times. Stay home, save lives, and we'll see you soon.
Bye.